Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Tableschronicles is back again. Kidnapper speaking, KIDDNAPPA. And right across from me is...
Reality Complex.
Yeah.
Real Complex.
Yes.
AKA, let's get that life in check.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Yes,
Let's go.
What's going on?
What's popping? What's cooking? What's rolling like a roller coaster?
Booyah.
You know what I'm saying? But yes, to the other side is...
Coaching with Leticia, elevate your business, elevate your life. I've just toned it down a little bit, haven't I? Sorry.
Yeah.
You
I'm just
basically
like,
have.
Elevate your life.
let me just bring it back down.
Bring it right back down.
You guys are on a hype today, aren't you?
Do you know what? Because we've eaten, we've had our nap, we're good. We're good to
you
go.
guys
Had a munch. You get me?
Yeah.
Had a little briefing.
I need to feel
Ready
the
to
same.
go.
I need to feel the same way.
Energy. We are Kasha.
As it goes. Anyway, people, back again for your ears. We haven't been here for a couple of days, should I say, because Coach with Leticia was out of the country, and I also was out of the country, and the only person that was left in the country is Reality Complex.
Was me and my sad self.
Some of us were inside.
Thanks, guys.
We're inside the beautiful sunshine.
Yes, we did.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know how it goes sometimes, man. You always have to take these breaks. I've told you, lot, man, every 3 months I'll be out of the country, man. I am not looking to be anywhere else but I'll be in Africa somewhere or somewhere in the world, just seeing what's going on. Learning something culture-wise and all that stuff, man. Because it's quite key, because how many times do you do it, man? You barely ever do it, man. You got to start doing it, man, to start learning what the world offers you, man. And you start, you know what I mean? When you're in certain places, they're like, how did you pronounce that? Speak in English, please. And you're like, I'm speaking in English.
Yeah, it's English.
But it's like, the pronunciation is very wrong. And it's like, okay, it is what it is. But yeah, how was your trip?
Oh, it was amazing. It was so good, relaxing, just being on the beach and just laughing and just having a good old karaoke. Good old karaoke. It's always better abroad. But yeah, we had such a good time. I chose not to do any excursions this time round, but it was just a nice chilled time of reflection. It was really beautiful. I'm definitely going back to the same place.
Really?
Just one more time.
Why?
Baby, one more time. One more time.
I don't know why you're even helping this. I'm trying to understand. So you're going to be going, that's the third time if you go to another time. That's your same place.
Yeah, I went to, the first time I went to, quite a bougie hotel. This time was a nice hotel, but I'll definitely go back to this one. I just like the family kind of orientation behind it, and there was massage, there was a gym there, the beach is like a minute away. It just makes it, and then you got all inclusive, and you had a rep. It was nice.
Is that all inclusive plus liquor as well?
Everything, food, liquor, entertainment. What? Whereas the bougie place, I had to pay if I wanted to see the entertainment.
But you see, I always say to people, sometimes when they tell you, when you start looking at the expenditure of things, when it's like high up, for some weird reason, it's always going to be like low down. You're not going to be as happy as you are. Yeah. If you're with everybody else, you're going to have a different vibe, and the attitude of people is more happily, like there's more life in the place in comparison to places whereby you've paid a certain amount of money and everybody's coming in there with a stiff upper lip kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's affordable. Well, Tunisia is very affordable. Like, you could go there with £50 in English money and live very comfortably and do quite a lot.
Yeah, but I think that's with most parts of the world. I think most of Africa anyway, you produce sterling pounds, man. It's a different story.
We should do a Tableschronicles trip to Africa.
Yeah, man, you guys are welcome to come to Kenya, because I tell you, I was chilling, man. I was chilling, but I had things to do, but I was also like at peace with myself. There's nothing as more beautiful than being somewhere where people are not even bothered with how you are. The police is not bothered unless you're committing a crime type of thing. Sometimes when you're driving in London, it's like, you're in a car, police just come next to you, you get paranoid immediately. Because you're thinking, all right, why are you driving all of a sudden? And they always find a reason sometimes to pull you over. I mean, nowadays, they don't do it as much as they used to do before, but it's one of those things, man. But like I said, man, travel, man.
Nice.
Yeah. How did you guys find your traveling experience, like going from A to B? Was it quite smooth? Was there any delays or anything like that?
For me, when we was going to the airport, yes, our train actually cancelled.
Oh, geez.
So
you must have been panicking.
It was a lot. But you guys know me. I'm quite a chilled. I can be hyped, but I'm actually quite chilled. But yeah, our train cancelled to take us to the airport. So I was panicking just a little bit, but we got there just on time. We had like half an hour spared before the gate closed. But overall, I always get stop and search. I'm always the one that something's beeping on me.
Why did they stop you?
Yeah.
Pull you aside.
Yeah, always.
Oh,
I get everything comes off. Everything.
Sometimes they stop you for the random searches, isn't it? Like they just pick
Yeah,
you, even without it beeping, they will just pick someone.
Yeah.
Did you know you went through the machine that you have to put your hands up on?
I
or
don't know what is inside of me that's beeping. Maybe it's the piercings.
probably a bra.
But what I'm saying is, every time I go through
Piercings.
Sorry, no.
It's probably your bra. It's most likely your bra.
Yeah.
It's most likely your bra.
It's the construction site. So what I'm saying is, when I go through the thing, I always get beeped, and then the woman can't fill me up and thing. I always give her a little wiggle or a little dance.
Because she just wants excuse.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I just try to entertain her a little bit.
You haven't been. Have you been to the US?
I have, yeah.
Have you had to go through
I'm not a fan of the US. Sorry, US.
Why? What, the checks, the way they search you?
No, I just didn't really enjoy myself in the States.
Where did you go?
I went to Maryland. I went to Baltimore. I went to New York.
You went. No wonder you're complaining, because everybody that goes to New York is just like going to London. Do you know a weird fact that I learned the other day?
New York, and I went.
I learned a weird factor. Do you know which one's bigger between New York and London?
New York's bigger, no?
That's what you think. That's what I would think.
That's what I was thinking until I learned, even population-wise, London is bigger.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, London is bigger. Because remember, New York only has 5 boroughs, right?
Mhm.
London has 32 boroughs.
But wouldn't they be smaller, technically?
No, I think I think what it is the place is bigger because of the what do you call it? You know how the US is when it comes to land.
Geographic.
Like generally their roads tend to be wider.
Yeah, they are.
A lot more things are just wider and a bit
Yeah.
longer to get to. But I was surprised when I found out, like, hold up, you mean to tell me this place is bigger? That was shocking.
So everything's bigger, like in London, like population and
Population,
amount of
I think
everything
London is 9 million, New York is 8 million or something like that.
Oh, so it's
Yeah.
close.
Let me even Google it. No, we're talking about it. See, it wasn't even part of this conversation, but it's something I learned that literally threw me off. And I learned that yesterday. I was like, huh? Because I was one to say I was ready to argue, but I said, nah. For some weird reason, I said, I'm not going to argue about it. Let me learn this one. And I was listening, and the guy was like, Googling it. I was like, oh, you mean to tell me, like, London is bigger than New York? So it's quite interesting, man.
That
but
is very interesting.
That is very interesting.
You know what I'm saying? But anyway.
But travel restrictions, you were saying.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because you know they made that new rule about they're gonna allow us to bring in over, I think it's 100 mil toiletries, because you know you got to bring in under 100 mil, like 75 mil or 50 mil for like your colognes and your baby lotion if you got this kind of complexion skin.
Then what, the sweet
the
caramel,
cocoa butter and that, and your hair ting,
It's
everything has to be
true. Yeah,
like
it's
in the
true.
regulated size, isn't it? But apparently they built these new machines that will allow you to bring in more, because I think the issue is they can't scan a bottle if it's too big, because you know it's because of what terrorism and all of that, and you know they're trying to combat this and whatnot. But they're saying they got these new scanners that they're going to roll out, and they gave the airports a deadline, but they haven't reached a deadline. It's supposed to be this summer, I believe, but there's quite a few key airports that are not going to reach the deadline. But it doesn't really seem to be that much of a bigger deal, because anything that's for the masses and that's going to help you, it's not a problem
true.
if they don't actually meet the requirement. But when it's on their end and
Yeah.
you've got to comply with something, we've got to do it pronto.
Yeah,
you get
it's
me?
true.
So I think that's
I don't know. For
that's
me,
a bit of a shame.
you know, there's some things that don't bother me, man. There's some of them, because I put him. If I'm traveling, if I'm doing a long traffic, it's like, hey, it goes in the luggage, man. All my hand luggage. The only thing I carry in my hand luggage is cameras, man. That's it. It's weird. It's weird. I'm even saying that, because you know what? That's the only thing. My reason is my laptop, my camera is with me. That's it. Anything else is in the other luggage, man. I'll find out when I land, and even when I land, I'll start looking for other things, cream and all those things, because you know sometimes I tend to forget, man. But you know what? Listen. So listen to this. Yeah, this is on Google. Yeah, as of 2022, London's population was about 9.5 million versus New York 8.1 million. Size-wise, New York City is 783.8 square kilometers, and London is 1,572.
What?
London is bigger than New York by nearly double. I was shocked.
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. This is something I learned, and you know what? I learned it thanks to a guy called Olu, because he was it was Olu, and we were just having a rough conversation, and he was like, yeah, London is bigger, and I was like, how is London bigger? Because I've always, you know, being in New York, I'm thinking, hang on, how are you telling me this place is bigger? But then I realized I've never even really used. I don't know if when you're in New York, you use the what do you call it?
The metro.
The what do they call it again? The subways.
The subway,
Subway.
I've never used a subway in New York.
Subway.
The
metro.
one train I did use was from New Jersey into New York and New York back to New Jersey, and that's the only thing I used. Apart from that, I could just tell you near enough. I have no idea. I was literally just of the assumption that this place is bigger.
Yeah,
So
I
don't know.
think it's because of influence, isn't it? TV and things like that. And again, it's a kind of like an illusion because America has the biggest film industry, and most of the westernized things are coming from that part. So culturally, like when you look on the TV screen and you're seeing all these yellow taxis and things like that, and all these blockbuster movies, it just gives you that sense that the place is big, innit? Like,
I think the thing that makes it big is because of the skyscrapers.
Oh, you mean like physically?
No, physically, it's the skyscrapers that makes New York big.
That's probably why there's so much traffic.
So-
is because it's so small.
Yeah. Now when I look at it,
When you really think, no, in New York, you know, there's always like back-to-back traffic.
yeah. And
Because it's
most
so
all the
small.
buildings are always skyscrapers,
they're-
blah blah blah.
But the thing is, yeah, what surprised me is one, how old those buildings looked because they're dusty as well. Like they don't even clean them too tough. And the same with the subway, everything just looks old. You know, like
Yeah, it's
in the movies, like in the
yeah.
Dick Tracy movies, where they go down the
Yeah.
alleyway and then they pull down the staircase thing like that, and
Yeah,
they're running up the
it's
stairs.
true.
Like they still have those same things
It's
there. I'm
true.
like, right, and they gotta like change or like modernize the city because you know, like other places in the world, like China and Japan and all that,
Yeah.
and even like Singapore, where they've got these state of the art ways of incorporating traffic
do,
and
yeah.
housing together.
Listen, when it
And
comes
New
to
York is still the same,
Yeah.
so it's just like
China is what you call it. I sent you guys a video of that Chinese city that's built.
yeah.
Like even the fuel stations are all over
Yeah,
the
it's above the house.
It's literally and there's a train that goes through the house. And
Yes. Oh, you
like
did say that,
China is on a different level of building. Like honestly, and that country like China in the 90s, China wasn't speaking the same language it's speaking today. And most countries are now looking for China because China, when it comes to investments, China is heavily involved. The whole of Africa, the whole of the Caribbean, China comes in to just fix the road and build this and build the other. And it's like these guys are working
Buying
at a very,
airports and all
very,
sorts.
very far. Yeah, those guys are working at a very fast place. But I'll tell you one thing I always found interesting is since we're talking about traveling, Japan. Japan, they have an airport in Japan. And if you see how that airport was built, they blew out. They just flattened up an island and built the airport there. I nearly said train station, but yeah. But they flattened out the island and then made it into a whole airport for themselves, and it looks nice.
So to touch on what you're saying about China, there was a clip where Dr. Umar was saying the reason why China are doing so much investment in like Africa, for example, as well. Because, you know, there's this battle going on between China and America and becoming, you know, toppling who's going to be the superpower and so forth. And they're saying, like, obviously, because a lot of the natural minerals and resources are in Africa.
Yeah.
Even like nuclear power, things that you could, to make a nuclear bomb, for example, there's like the majority of the items you can find in Africa, as well as like you were saying before in a previous episode about cobalt and things like that.
Coltan,
all of these
cobalt,
things. So whoever runs Africa literally is going to run the world. So that's going to play a massive part into who's going to become, you know, the top superpower.
The interesting thing is they both need each other because all the shoes that we are wearing are made in China. Despite most of the companies will be American. So that argument, I always say that the argument that gets me the most is, what's the argument? Because the company's American, made in China.
But this is the thing, yeah.
Like we all, like I have iPhones. All my iPhones, I have my iPhone. My iPhone is made in China. But iPhone is Apple. It's an American company.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, clearly, regardless of how we look at it, the fact is they need each other.
Yeah, in some shape
need
or
each
form,
other.
it's a partnership.
You know what I'm
innit?
saying? Because China is out there to get their deals done, and they are out to make sure that they are flourishing.
Because
And
they
Chinese don't
specialize in high volume in manufacturing,
yes.
especially cheaper goods and things.
Oh yes.
And then I think Dr. Umar was saying about with the Western world, like we can specialize in higher quality goods. So you got this contrast of the communist states being very good at making the cheaper high volume, and then the other end making higher quality. So, you know, cheaper high volume, lower volume high quality. It's like that's an interesting contrast at the same time. Not saying it's going to make a difference in what's happening, but it's just another little side note in terms
I'll
of
tell you, I want to see.
differences between the two.
It's true.
They can argue as far as I'm concerned. You know, I want to see the Great Wall of China.
Yeah, definitely. That's on my list, man.
That's
Things to
beautiful.
see.
That's where I want to go.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
Go
you
all
can
to
see it
China.
from outside
Yes.
of the planet, innit? You can see it as a line across the globe.
Outside the planet.
Yeah, when you're in space, you can see the
Oh, is
Great
it?
Wall of, you can see it from.
But you see, you want to go space, so just go to space
You know,
because
he's all,
I'm not
complex
interested
is
in
always
going.
out of this. That's why he's complex.
That's
yeah?
why, yeah, you know
He's
what I'm
just out of
saying?
this-
'Cause he's like, oh yeah, we could see from
Yeah.
outside the
Yeah,
planet.
I just want to go
don't want to
Africa.
go.
Man's like, I
I'm
wanna
not
go to
interested in going,
space.
bruh. I'm not interested. What is
Yeah.
it? What is it
Man
for me
wants
to
to
see
go
in
to
space?
Jupiter.
in space. Nah, I think like
No,
when
give
you're
me
looking,
one thing I should go. No, honestly,
Well,
one thing I should see in space that will trigger me like, oh wow.
so I think it's
I
an
gonna see
alternative place to live. So when
Is that what?
When it's an alternative place to
But
live,
there's no air,
but you can make air. You can manufacture.
so
air
you're
out
gonna
there.
be sitting down with a mask so that you can hear it, you can breathe.
I think
and-
you can develop it. Have you not seen Total Recall? Where
Bro, I'm telling
the
you.
technology comes to a
Batman
point
movie. I
where
love that
you
movie.
where you have a whole building.
That's why it's a
So
movie.
instead of having a mask on your face, think about putting a mask over the whole building. So
Yeah,
that way you don't need to walk around in a suit or a mask because the building is protected with the oxygen kept inside.
See, you're in love with science, and you're in love. You're in love with no. Let me repeat myself. Not that you're in love with science. You're in love with being outside of the planet to see what's going on in the world.
I think it's definitely interesting.
for me,
I think it's another. I think because don't you ever wonder about what's out there?
what aliens?
Aliens, life
Yeah, but
forms.
you say aliens. What does aliens actually
'Cause,
mean?
yeah.
It just means,
I don't know because that's what they.
I'm saying.
That's
I'm an alien if I go to Australia. The definition of an alien is what?
no,
someone that's not from this place. It's not
hang
always-
on.
not always
no.
out.
It
No,
doesn't
no,
mean
let's
that
not
it's
talk
someone
about-
with a
But I
head.
get what you mean. What you
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
We know
No,
you mean
we're
what you
talking
mean.
about outer planet aliens. We're not talking about immigration alien business because immigration alien is another story. Altogether.
Yeah.
That's a
But
that's
I
a
think
story.
That was what you were saying.
Yeah.
No. Everybody will go somewhere.
Yeah,
But it depends where you go.
About ET, are we? Or you talking about
The ET kind of
Okay.
thing where you're just like, is this a reality? Is this real?
It could be.
Do you see what I'm saying? But why do I want to know, man? Because I'm on Earth.
You're on
there's
Earth
so much.
now,
There's so
but-
much to learn on this earth. Yeah, listen. When you come out, when I was out on the plane. Yeah, sorry to cut you, but listen. When I was out on the plane, get on the process. Passport, bang. Do you need a visa to enter this country? Yes, no. Have you checked in? Have you done all your check-ins? Everything is in check. Boom. I flew for 8 hours. How long is it from London to Tunisia?
It's like 3
3 hours. So
max.
look at that. 3 hours. I was on for 8 hours. So I'm sitting there and I'm sleeping off, waking up, wondering, okay, are we there yet? No. Okay, watch a movie. You get frustrated. They bring you food. They bring you all of that stuff. You know what I mean? You're in a, you know what I mean? You're going somewhere to see. You get to where you're going to. I get to it's not the same as where you're coming from. So now it's clearly now you're open to learn how this is gonna work and how this is gonna go. Do they speak the same language? Those type of things. That's where the learning comes in. But now I'm thinking to myself, if I go to another planet, or let's say I go to Pluto tomorrow morning, I meet an alien. What the hell are we gonna talk about? Like what's the
It's
conversation?
about learning. You
What's the
learn from each
conversation?
other.
Discovery.
What's the conversation with an
Easily,
alien?
like how do we greet each other? What do you eat? What do you
What does
eat?
an alien even look like?
That's
Exactly.
What I'm saying. That's
Nobody
what I'm
knows.
saying.
Discovery.
I don't even want to know, man. I
What
want
if
to
an alien
know
looks
what
like-
a human being looks
How
like.
do they breathe out there? There's
Oh,
things we can
mate.
learn from
They
them.
might breathe from
it's
their
just
eyes.
like animals over here. You could take things out of them. Like when they do experiments on the human brain, they take it from like alligators and certain types of birds that have a similar brain and mice that have a similar makeup in their brain as ours. That's how they make discoveries.
Most
so
of
if you're
medication
talking
is
about
done
trying to
because of
breathe
that,
in
yeah.
outer space, then you would look at, okay, the alien, how has he survived out here so long without air? Let's investigate his biology makeup and see if there's some modifications we can make. That's it, simple.
Man, people, whoever is listening, make sure you subscribe to this Tables Chronicles.
And get your merch. Get your merch.
And get the merchandise. You can see Letitia is wearing the t-shirt. You can see it there. Funny enough, the two of us are not even geared up today.
Next time.
But interesting thing is, I fail to understand why I would want to see outer Pluto. I will look at listen. I will see. Let me look at the world from an airplane. Let me see what's going on when we're landing and when we're taking off. Let's see what's happening. Because otherwise, I want to see what an alien does or does do. That's their business, man. Because my world, man, let me take a flight to go somewhere. Because you know where I want to go? I really want to go. I have to go to Cuba.
Yeah.
Cuba is on my list, man. That's one place I have to go.
What appeals to you about Cuba?
I just want to learn Cuba, man, because I've always been like interested in Fidel Castro, how he managed to like just be. It's a minute place. You know, they got the most doctors per whatever kilometer, mile, or whatever you call it. Yeah. But you know, I said kilometer because you know what. I think that is the most frustrating thing I learned about the traveling. Yeah, well, not that I learned about traveling. The one thing I've always said, this kilometer and mile thing, because even on my GPS when I'm traveling, I'm like, boom, I fix it on, and it's telling me in miles, and everybody's looking at me like, can you please put it in kilometers? And I'm like, I put it in kilometers, I have no idea what this thing is telling me, but I put it in miles, I know exactly where we're going. Do you know what I'm saying?
In Australia, they do kilometers as well.
No, the rest of the world, apart from the UK and the US, I think it is that do kilometers.
They do kilometers.
Yeah. Everybody else does kilometers. Just the US and the UK does miles. And miles is such an old system.
Really is.
Because it's just like what I learned the other day is horsepower. 1 horsepower is like 770 something watts. And that's the measurement of power. So it's interesting. They developed that for like steam trains and things like that.
Yeah.
You know that in cars is horsepower. But I've always wondered, does that mean like that's how many horses it will take to pull that thing?
For horses, that's.
But it's like
for
one
cars,
for one horse, isn't it? Like
they
1 horse. The measurement was 1 ton per horse. No, 500 kilograms per horse. No, not kilograms. It's 500 something per
horsepower.
Horsepower, yeah, per one horse.
Yeah. No, what they do, they
so
use
then they converted that into watts, and then now that's the kind of conversion rate for horses and power, basically.
But I know the thing.
Into engines.
They use that to horsepower because if they compare imagine like they tell you it's 500 horses pushing together. Because you ever see one horse moving? That's a force in itself.
Yeah.
So imagine 500 horses is in one machine.
One machine, yeah.
Yay! That's a Mazda, man.
It's interesting because it was so long ago when they were using horses, but they still use that terminology now.
What's that?
Horses. So you know that back in the day, horse and carriage and things like that.
Yeah.
And that was so long ago, but they're still using that same kind of
horses have always
now.
been horses have always, because you've got to remember in England, in the UK, should I say, actually in Europe, Western Europe, let me use Western Europe, you know, canals were built. When canals were built, they were built and then they had horses. The horses were now doing the delivery to go to certain parts of the country. Yeah, they were pulling it. Yeah, they were dragging the whatever,
the actual delivery down the canal.
Down the canals to wherever it needs to go.
Because you know that film, Peaky Blinders. So you know they're based in Birmingham. Yeah. And then I remember there's a scene where he goes, "Oh, we'll have to travel down to London through the canal. We should reach there in like 1 week."
Yeah.
Wow.
Because he used to drag horse used to drag the boat. So that's why when you look at it, it says start looking. It's like this is how he was dragging it all the way. Can you imagine being on that thing for like a week?
A whole week just to get to London. Whereas now in 2 hours you can be there.
It's quite interesting, man. But yeah, it is what it is, though, man. But yeah, people, you know, I always say that's what I want to go and learn these things. You're interested in going outside the world to start seeing how the world looks on the other side. You'll be standing out there and say, "Yes, I told people the world is round. Look at it." I'm sitting there. I'm like, I know it's round, man, but I'm in another country now, learning some other. I'm learning to eat different foods and all these kind of things because there's so much to know.
Can I ask about the food thing? Do they do bushmeat?
Where
you're from?
In Kenya? Nah. Bushmeat, you know what? There's something that's really disturbing, actually. But I said I'll cover this one because obviously I was not with you guys, so I'll have to cover it on the other channel that I put together. But bushmeat it's a very disturbing way of looking at things because I fortunately had a chance. So I was with family. My cousin actually, shout out to my cousin for the record, my cousins, because my cousin told me, we're going to book an Airbnb and we're going to go up here. Yeah. So I was like, all right, cool, I'll come up. I was invited, but I didn't, you know, when you're invited, and I think this is something about women. This is why women, you guys are great in some areas because she put it up and she was like, no, honestly.
I just think about all the women, innit?
No, honestly, you gotta shout out. Listen, I take my hat out to women 24/7 because I would never have processed half of what she put together for us. And me, I just knew, as far as I was concerned, it was an Airbnb. However, where we were staying, the Airbnb was in the middle of wildlife, basically. Number one. Number two, because of me being there now, I'm sitting down and she was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go and see the last 2 northern white rhinos." I was like, "What?"
Wow.
And I was like, "Okay, we're gonna see the 2 last northern white rhinos." And you know what? Boom, went there, seen the last 2 northern white rhinos, and I was like, "Oh my days, this is a moment whereby I will never ever say like thank you to her, because I'm sitting there, I'm knowing that I'm coming to Airbnb, not knowing that I'm actually gonna see a northern white rhino."
Beautiful.
So I seen 2 of them, and not only that, I got to like you don't really, you have to stay in the car whilst it's coming around, and you know what the rhino did? One of them scraped her car, and she was like, "At least I can say that a northern white rhino did this," and it was one of the last white ones that left.
Wow.
And you know, I was there and I was like, "Oh man, the wildlife is beautiful." And I'm looking at it, and those white rhinos, the reason those white rhinos, I was looking at the story behind them. They came from Czech Republic, I think it was. But Czech Republic doesn't produce rhinos, period. But because of the wars that's been happening, they managed to take some of these animals away. And it's like, now you've literally messed up these animals, and it's literally the last one left, because these people are busy killing them, or they're getting rid of them, and some people are gonna be eating them, or it's always something crazy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the chimps, I went to see the chimps as well. Chimps are not really they're not from Kenya. They're not from Kenya naturally, but what they did, they kept them there safely because the wars was affecting them. But then you have some really nasty stories where people are chopping off the chimp's hand and keeping the finger, because it's it comes down to some form of weird culture. Sometimes you're thinking, mate, that's literally, if you look at a chimp's hand, is more or less the same as a human hand.
Yeah, they're the closest.
They're very, very close.
Closest relative.
But those animals they're another set. They can be real bastards. Like literally, even when I was up there, we were sitting there. We could see one. There was one. I put it on my. I think I sent it. I sent it to you. I put it on my channel, my other channel. I put it on my channel. I don't send you that.
So I saw you sent the
one on the roof,
the cage,
the box that
the box that they smuggle into,
yeah.
and then there's one that was in a cage.
The single cage, the rectangle.
7 or 8 years, for 7 or 8 years it was there. So when you look at that particular
for
chimp,
7 or 8 years,
it was
in that one,
in that little thing,
that's crazy.
It was kept in there because you know what. The thing is, people take these chimps when they're babies, but they grow. Michael Jackson did the same thing.
Yeah.
He had that Bubbles. Was it Bubbles?
Bubbles,
yeah. Bubbles is an animal. He kept it. He was like, yeah, my chimp. But Bubbles became it's a chimp. It's a wild animal.
Yeah, it's a wild.
This is not an animal for you to be keeping in your house.
It's like in Dubai as well, isn't it? Those princes, they have like the tigers and stuff.
So even some of them,
they be driving around with them in the car. It's fun to them.
Yeah, after a while they get big and they realize they cannot control them. That's why that particular one ended up in the cage. And it's like, mate, what are you doing,
and they
man?
need to mate as well.
Yeah, they do their own. Like now they've got one called they call it Astra. The reason they call it Astra because they named it after AstraZeneca because of COVID. So they were kept there. So we were like, they call it Astra. I was like, so you call that one Astra? They say we call it Astra because it was born during COVID. And I was like,
Astra?
AstraZeneca.
Oh, geez.
So you know, AstraZeneca. So they call it AstraZeneca. It's like, that's the reason they call it that is because it was born during the COVID period, the lockdown period, and even going to see those chimps. So this, thank you again to my cousin, right? And I'm gonna cover it on the other side of things because that's why I said you lot need to come with me next time I'm going, because she literally took me to this place, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, what are we doing, man? She goes, the chimps. We're gonna go and see the chimps, man, when they're feeding them. I was like, feeding chimps. And I was like, would I, in my own free time, would I even do this? And I realized it created a curiosity for myself because I was looking at myself and I was thinking, you know what? Now I am super curious about nature. More curious about it than anything else. So I put it up on the channel and I said, let me just put this part up and see how it goes. But I remember that chimp in particular, it stands because he was standing in that cage for however many years. Yeah. So the thing actually stands like a human.
That was that long.
Yeah, it stands like a human. It literally stands like a human. But one thing, as we were looking at it, because remember we were up top on top of the roof, looking down at it. This thing picked up a stone. And I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, all right, the next thing he's gonna do is gonna whack one of us with this. So we literally moved to the other side because like, yeah, you throw it and hopefully you can miss
So
us.
they're strong, man.
And
Chimps.
exactly,
Chimps and
exactly.
gorillas,
You don't know whether it's Caesar. You know
Listen.
like
Not
the
only
shapes.
that.
To add to that, side note, I was watching this clip online of Shaquille O'Neal, and he said, well, anytime he goes to the zoo, the gorillas always look at him different too, because you know how he's huge,
Because he's
and
huge,
you could see just by his shape.
stature.
Like even if he wasn't like a human, you could just see this human is different from because of
From
how
others,
big he is.
yeah.
So
Nah.
they always look at him like, how come you're outside and I'm in here? You should be in here with us.
The thing is, I've never agreed with zoos. To be honest with you, I've never understood
It's
what's the
something wrong
point
about it.
You know, there's some things. Yeah. And even I always say like, world peace is the key thing to this whole world.
Yeah.
Why are we not having world peace? And why are people busy fighting over stupidity, which is affecting the nature of where these animals are coming from? Because where I was, the reason they kept them chimps there is because obviously they were coming from war-torn areas, and then people are doing like they're cutting their hands and all of this stuff. And I was
some
just
of it's
sitting there,
lack
I was
of education and understanding, like superstition
it's
culturally.
It's
It's just like if we go back to the Chinese and stuff, like the amount of different rare animals that they eat, like tiger penis and all these different things that.
what they eat that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And they say
Tiger
that it's
penis.
Yeah, man.
Why would you wanna
eat a
There's a
tiger
guy
penis?
that got stuck in the airport. Got
But hang on, does
No-
a tiger
no,
have a
of course,
penis like penis, or is it?
border control and all of that.
Have a,
There's if you watch those border control programs, you'll see a lot of people coming from China with different parts of animals in
Yeah.
their suitcase and that. I remember one was like tiger penis and that, and monkey brain, because people eat
Yeah,
monkey
monkey
brain
brain.
and stuff like that because it's supposed to give you certain things,
That's,
isn't it?
That's mad.
Yeah, man.
It's
Like,
funny
But
how
because the reason I'm even
It's a lot of
questioning about tiger
miseducation,
because
and
it's a
yeah.
cat.
Yeah.
sorry, just to jump in with this, but also in some parts of Africa with albinos as well. Like they were saying that they have like mythical powers and things like that. So,
Yeah.
No, albinos,
it's a dangerous thing if you are
I think
albino in Africa, because they'll be after you, trying to chop you up and all sorts of
I
things.
think it's some parts of some cultures don't get it, to be honest with you. That's all it comes down to. But then again, I noticed that sometimes when you don't know something, learn it rather than be an idiot about it. You know what I'm saying?
But the thing is,
But then
how do you then inform them that they need to have that learning?
the problem is some of these people, you can't teach them. You can't they're prepared to go to a church where the preacher will teach them a whole bunch of lies, and he will make sure they give him some money, and he's gonna make as much money as possible, but he ain't gonna teach you nothing. And then he wherever you want to believe, he will feed you what you want to
So he's
believe.
just creating these things just to have
So-
control and power and
Yeah,
money,
because
basically.
a lot
Even
of
though
this
he knows
it's a
not true,
financial gain.
he's just saying it so that it looks like he's saying something that they don't know.
For him,
They just follow it thinking that he's giving them some knowledge or something that's going to benefit them, and really he's just saying it to get money.
I think for him, it's a financial gain,
Mm.
and that's what he's after. And the people are after a spiritual gain, and he's tapping into what they want to hear. So sometimes they will fool you and tell you off that the biggest nonsense in the world going, and they will feed it to you, and you will be sitting there believing every single word of it, not knowing that, mate, this guy is just messing with you. He's messing with you. He's messing with you. There's nothing else to it. But you know what? Like I always tell people, man, that's why I'm not big on religion. I'm not even big on religious conversations, because sometimes I look at some of these things, I'm like, yo, the beliefs that you have are crazy. For me, the heaven is where we are, and the heaven is what we're breathing and seeing. Do you know what I mean? But you start telling people that, heaven is on the other side. How do you know? You don't know.
But that's why
nobody.
they call it belief, isn't it?
But
Because
this is
it's
it.
just down to the individual
It's
to
a
make
blah,
sense
blah,
of
blah.
the information that they're
There we
given,
go.
and if they believe it, they believe
There
it.
we go.
Just going back to that horsepower thing, I just googled it, and it's £550 per one horse. Just to
There's
throw
one
that in
horse.
because I think I messed it
Look at
up.
that. That's nuts, man. But anyway, quite interesting people.
Yeah.
Quite interesting people. Anyway, people, Tables Chronicles, subscribe to us. Coaching with Letitia is here. Reality Complex is here. Kidnapper KIDDNAPPA. People, it's an avenue for conversation. Anybody
right.
that has anything to say, follow the Instagram, Tables Chronicles. Follow us on YouTube, subscribe to us, and you could be hearing the new stuff that we're putting up. And if you have any comments or anything, feel free to message them. Just make sure they're respectful. Don't be disrespectful, please, because we all are learning. This is the world.
Add us on the socials as well.
That's it, man. Yeah, man. Say all your socials, man.
Instagram, real_complex_media, complex with a K.
Yeah.
Coaching with Letitia.
Yes, on Instagram, YouTube, and all of that good stuff. But also our sponsors is Gizmo.
Yes.
.org.uk, and we've got whatadeal.store as well. Get yourself a deal.
Yes, people. And on that note, have a good evening, good afternoon, and good night. Peace.